All right, friends. So tonight for your homework, you're going to need your science notebook, your pencil, and the 2 sheets that I gave you that should be in your red folder. You're also going to need scissors and glue. So go ahead and get all that stuff. If you don't have something like scissors or glue, then just go ahead and follow along with me, and then you can cut and glue in the morning. So go pause the video and get that stuff now. All right, so the other day we started designing our own experiment on page 41, and I said that if you needed room, you could go to 42 to finish designing your experiment with your data table, your results, and conclusion. So if you're not done with designing your experiment, then go ahead and just number page 42, title it Experiment Design, but then we're just going to come over here to page 43 for now, and we're going to title that Force and Motion. Then we're going to write the definition of force, because this is what we've been talking about with our different stations and with the story we read. We read force is a push or pull that causes an object to move, stop, or change directions. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and copy that down. Okay, so the first type of force we're going to talk about is a push, and we use push to move something away. So if I have this thumbtack here, I'm going to move this for a second. I'm going to put my thumbtack here, and I am going to push it so that it goes away from me. So I'm pushing it away from me. So the force of push is to move away. And then I drew a hand with me pushing it away. So go ahead and pause the video and let's write that one down. All right, so the next one is going to be a pull. And I use a pull if I'm going to take my thumbtack and pull it closer toward me. When I want to move something toward me, I'm pulling it closer. So a pull is the use of force to move toward or closer. So here's my hand and I'm pulling it toward my hand. I'm pulling it closer to me. So let's pause and write that one down. So then the next one that we talked about was gravity, and we talked about like when you jump up in the air, how you don't stay floating up in the air. And the reason you don't stay floating up in the air is because of what? Gravity. So gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the center of Earth. So here's me, and I'm staying on the floor. I'm not able to just float around when I jump up. I have to come back down because of gravity. So pause the video and let's write that one down. So then the last thing that we talked about and something else we tested was friction. And we talked about how friction is a force that slows or stops motion when objects rub together. And one of the examples we talked about was the ball in the grass, how the ball will be rolling, but because of the friction, eventually the grass and the ball rubbing together will cause the ball to stop. So go ahead and pause and let's write that one down. All right, now that you have those written down, I want to turn the page. We're going to number page 44 and 45. Page 44, we're going to title Energy Chart. Page 45, we're going to title Forms of Energy. And then I want you to take the 2 sheets that we took home, and I want you to cut out the 2 shapes. So one is a square, one is a rectangle. So you're going to cut around the forms of energy and around the box, leaving it all one piece. Then you'll cut around all the triangles on the side with the box still in the middle. Don't cut the flaps off. So pause and do that real quick. All right, so I'm going to move my notebook and my one chart aside for a second. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip over this chart right here. And you're going to pull the flaps up to where it is folded on this line right here. And you're going to do that for each one so that when you are done, you have light energy, sound energy, thermal energy, which I'm going to write on here, is another word for heat energy. So you can write that in there. And then mechanical energy. So once you have them all folded, it will look like this. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now you're going to need your glue, because what we're going to do is we're going to glue this down in the center like this on page 45, because we're going to write notes around the outside. So glue it in the center now. So pause and glue. All right, so I'm going to start with mechanical energy at the top, because that's the one that we've been working on here recently. And mechanical energy, I'm going to go ahead and say, is energy associated with the motion and position of an object. So when we've been doing force and motion, like pushes and pulls and gravity and friction, that's all energy that is associated. That means it's with it. It's something that it is associated with. It is familiar with it. Motion and position of an object. So motion like pushes and pulls. Position of an object like gravity pulling it down. So make sure you have that copied down. Then we're going to go to light energy. Light energy. We talked about how light travels in waves and can move through space, because we talked about how it reflects. So it travels in waves and can move through space. And one of the examples we gave for light energy, we said sun, we said like a lamp, we said computer, we said lots of examples. But I'm just going to write like 3 of them down. So go ahead and pause and copy that down. Then over here, I forgot. I want to go ahead and write push, pull, gravity, and friction to help me remember some of my mechanical energy. So pause and make sure you have all that. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is sound energy, and that's where you got to make your own instruments, and we got to make all that noise, and it was so fun. So this one is energy of vibrations. Remember when you put your hand on your throat and it was making the vibrations? And it's carried by air, water, because remember when we put that spoon in the water, it moved the water, and other matter can move, like the drum and all those instruments. So some examples of things that make sound energy are like music and your favorite, alarm clocks in the morning. So make sure you pause and write that down for sound energy. Okay, so the last one we're going to do real quick is thermal and heat. And that's changes occur when added or taken away. So like when we add heat or take away. So like when we did the ice, we added heat to it and it changed. Think about when we did the chocolate. So make sure you have that written down also. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to write a description for each on this chart and draw a picture for each on this chart, and then glue it onto page 44, and you're going to bring that to class tomorrow for me to check. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a good night.